short for a stormtrooper?
Huh? What the hell are you doing?
Somebody has to save our skins.
You're trembling.
I'm not trembling.
Let's get one thing straight. I take orders from just one person, me.
So one day you're still alive. Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
No reward is worth this.
Who are you?
Someone who loves you.
Leia.
Cut it out! I love you.
I know.
May the Force be with you.
It still gets me every time. That is so beautiful, and it is so nice to be able to. I feel like when we see that video, we're getting a little visit, and that's always really nice.
Now, we understand there was no sound, so when we play it later...
We'll play it at the end of the show if
Yeah.
people wanted to see it. Sorry about the sound.
Well, it was there. It was just very low.
Yeah.
So that was the secret to that lack of success.
Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm going to go ahead and say happy Sunday. We're so happy to be here with you. Of course, Carrie's birthday was the 21st, which was that yesterday?
2 days ago.
Or 2 days ago. So we weren't able to have a show, and I'm just really glad that we're able to do it now. So many of you posted on our Facebook pages on her birthday, and some of you just posted really great things, and I saw them all, so I just wanted to say thank you for remembering and for keeping her alive in the minds of so many people that would see your things on Facebook. So that's awesome. I'm just so happy to be here, and Todd is working on his things over here. Ryan is here, but he's not here with us, and I'm really bummed out about that, but we didn't have time to patch him in beforehand, so he's with us handling things on that side. So let me just put my glasses on and see who is here and say hi to a few folks before we begin. It is a peaceful day, isn't it? It's so peaceful. Papa Georgie, I see that. Love you, Carrie. That is awesome. Nikki, is my mic on? She says it's not, but I don't know when that was. I'm hoping it is.
It's very low.
It's very low.
You sure it's turned on?
Yep, it's on. Yep. And it's got full charge, so we're good.
Well, mine is on.
It says it's low.
I'll make it. Here, I'll make it easy on you. Just take mine.
Oh.
So don't talk. There you go.
Okay. So I can talk now. Here we go. All right. He only tells me when I can't talk, not when I can. Don't talk. Okay. All right, here we go. Hello, Gina Selman and Gina Renee Cox. It's good to have you here. Barbara Hammond. Is my mic still off, Barbara? That's what I want to know. Okay. Janie Hickok says, we drank a toast to Carrie at dinner Friday night. Yes, that would be so appreciated by her. So Sherry saying, and much better. Diane Vasquez says much better. We haven't done a show in here for a while, so we had to fire everything up.
No, don't forget, Kat, we had a power failure last night.
Oh, we had a power failure
There was very
last
windy.
night. That's
we
true.
had a power failure.
We
and
lost our water.
The world turned off.
The world turned off. We've been having strong and mighty, almost Hurricane Gale winds. A lot of trees got knocked over and stuff next door. And so we got our power knocked off. It's been pretty intense, and it's still windy, but not like yesterday and last night. I was really afraid that one of our palm trees was going to fall on the house last night. Seriously, it was.
Palm trees are never the problem. They can handle serious abuse. You know, they're desert.
I know they can bend, but I don't know that that's not a problem. I'd have to ask everyone that just went through this in Florida, because I'll bet a couple of palm trees went down.
Well, you'll notice on a lot of the Caribbean islands, there's no trees.
That's true.
It's because the hurricanes come along and wipe them all out. But
Are you plugged in? Do you have voice?
I do.
All right.
I have
Hello,
some.
Kathy Hobbs, Pamela Eggers, Amy Perkins. Late yet again. Don't worry, everybody was a little late today. Belinda Faye Fawn, Tammy Wilson. Your post with your dog made me laugh so hard about the Wizard of Oz reference, because her dog was on his belly underneath the bed, or she was. And so just the back feet, and it looked like the Wicked Witch when the house fell on the Wicked Witch. I said we just need to put the little red and white striped socks on, and that would have been perfect. It's true. We actually, Todd, added.
Well, I'll go
you
to the
can't
camera. No, you
I
can
don't
see
know if
it.
you can see it on there.
Point at it.
Right there. See, there we go. Right
Oh, it's hard to see.
there.
Well,
it's hard to see. But anyway, he put the Wizard of Oz
and something
behind
else.
us.
What else is new?
What else is new?
What do you see over my shoulder? What do you see
here.
over my shoulder?
Oh, Carrie's poster, Rebel? No. Chewbacca?
Chewbacca.
And it's life size.
He is actually the same size he should be.
I have a question. Was
but-
Chewbacca, the actor inside the Chewbacca suit, super tall like that?
Yeah, he's a big guy, huge guy.
Like 7 feet tall?
Exactly.
Because that's about what that is, right
But
there.
we've added him to the set. So now you have the Wizard of Oz on. She's got sort of the classic movie side, and I'm running Star Wars only.
Yes, that's true. I do have the classic
I have just the
movie
Star Wars
side.
stuff. But I do have Mark back there too. I have Mark Hamill
I see him.
and Carrie.
I see
And
him.
speaking of Mark Hamill, I just wanted to bring this up. Ryan, I forgot to tell you that we found at the ranch. So if you looked, where is that thing? If you look over my shoulder, where am I? He's way back here. But if you look in the set,
Yeah.
you see Carrie here, and you see parts of her, and then
Actually, you're not on camera.
right. Well, I'm coming in a second here. Come on out of there. So-
Is Mark Hamill that tall?
He's not that tall. He's compared to Carrie.
How much taller is he than you, for example?
He's a little bit taller than me, but not a lot.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm going back. Okay, wires hanging all over the damn place. I don't know if everybody can see that or not.
It's black on my screen.
No?
No?
Why, we went dead already?
I don't know. Oh, no, we're now playing. All right.
Let me show you how to zoom that camera out back there. So
Okay, yes, so they can see the set. That would be awesome. Now, yes, on my phone it is black. Is it okay on yours? So we're good? All right. then
it's
I'm
not
gonna go-
black,
I know, it's just
It's not
for
black. We
for
can
some
move on from
reason
that.
on my phone it is.
but it's not black.
Okay, we're good then. All right.
Now, We're going to look at Mark. We're looking at Mark Hamill if you look at your monitor.
Oh, I see, yes.
So there's Mark. There's Chewbacca. We were talking about
I
him.
see.
And then on your side, we had,
Who have we got over here?
no, area, look. See, look.
Oh, I got Debbie.
Yeah, but
I
you,
have the Wizard. I have Singing in the Rain. I have.
you have the classic movie department.
I do. I have the classic movie side of the set, definitely.
Okay, so now I'm going to fix that. Now that my camera is showing the wide shot of them, so I'll bring that back into the...
Okay.
Now, the reason why I was bringing that up at all,
Yeah, you don't really ever get to see the whole set. It's when people
may
see
have
it
to-
in person, they
if you
always really
see this little
enjoy it.
joystick, it moves the camera around. So if I'm not centered, you can always... Okay, I'm
Alrighty.
coming back. But I brought this up because...
Nikki Luongo said 5'3". Is that true that he could only be 5'3"?
Mark Hamill?
Yeah, that's shorter than me. That
I
can't
don't know.
Be.
According to
Can't
this
be.
blow up, he's...
5'9", Heather Tenchuk.
That
John
sounds
Penn.
like it, because he's about an inch taller
Yeah.
than me.
There you go,
I'm-
Heather Tenchuk. You took
See,
it
that could have
away.
been a trivia. All right, who came up with the 5'9"?
Heather Tenchuk.
Heather, you just won a DVD. Pull one out of the box. Just randomly grab one.
And I'll kick in too, Heather, because that was a good one.
Okay, you just won a DVD from Time Warner, from the collectibles of the DVD, a Debbie movie called How Sweet It Is with James Garner, just because that was a random trivia thing.
Yeah. And she did good.
And you did your research, so we have to reward people. Can you make a note of that? So we're giving her how sweet it is. So here, let me throw that back down to you. Ready? Coming out. Flat goes. So
you know what? Seth just made a very. You're welcome, Heather. Heather Feather. I
Now
haven't talked to
speaking.
you in too
Now
long.
speaking. Let me. Okay, get your
Oh,
comment.
Nikki Luongo said that was Carrie's height, not Mark's, 5'3". But I think
That is complete bullshit. Carrie was 5'1" on a good day with the platform shoes.
sorry about that, but I was.
No,
like,
they lie on the internet,
Yeah.
or the either that
She
or
was very tiny.
as my mother, my mother's nickname was TTMS,
Yeah.
teeny tiny movie star, and
Right.
Carrie was no bigger than my mom.
No.
They're both 5'1".
I don't even.
They
think
used to
were-
lie and say
honestly,
5 3/4, 1
I
3/4.
think they're like 4'11", 5 feet.
Well, maybe later in life, but at any rate.
But because I
So
would look.
where
down.
I was headed,
Yeah.
I showed you Mark Hamill because I've had him on my set. I've told a story about me finding the Carrie cutout. I knew we had these cutouts. I just don't know where they are. But I was at the ranch while I was there, and I hope Brian's paying attention.
Yes.
I found a sealed Mark Hamill.
Oh.
So I have found the same thing I have on the set here, but it's in the sealed bag from the original release, and it says whatever it is down here. Anyway,
That is really nice.
it's in pretty good shape. I mean, it's been in the bag, so I don't know how hard it's never been set up, brand new. So that's going to go out.
An
we've-
auction item.
Yeah, so
That's pretty cool.
well, Ryan's been bringing back up the studio store. We're going to make this more active than we normally.
Yes, yesterday
we were
was the
asleep at
first
the wheel
day.
for.
Yeah.
Okay, yesterday was the first day.
Yeah.
So we put up some items. Some are going to be auctions. Some are going to be claim. Is that right?
Yes, there's an auction item up right now. Yesterday they had a claim sale, but the game I put down in front there.
The game is over here now.
There you. Oh, you.
But
moved
this
the
has got to
game.
be an auction item, right?
That's on now. That's being auctioned right
Okay, so
now.
I found this was also another one of those find at the warehouse storage item. This was out of Carrie's garage. Never been opened. Original 1977 game. Now it's not perfect because it's got a little, got pushed in a teeny bit here, but so it's not like somebody was. In fact, this was thrown in a box with a whole bunch of other just miscellaneous things from Carrie's house. This was thrown out of the garage. Probably sat in Carrie's garage for 20 years.
Oh yeah.
And it's never been opened. The
What
plastic
year-
is
what year
good.
is that?
70. Well, came out with the movie. It says 77 on it, the copyright. It's a Kenner product, which means it's always the first.
Kenner. Oh my God, are they still around?
Well, Kenner did all the first toys, games, action figures. They really, like the Carrie action figure is worth thousands from Kenner, the first generation Carrie, Princess Leia. Anyway, so this actually, I don't know anything about it. Ryan seemed to be pretty stoked about this. I don't collect games. I do collect Carrie stuff, and you can see, let's switch to one real quick. So if you look at, on the close-up, you can see Carrie's photo is there.
Yep.
And you could see the condition of the packaging and everything is, pretty amazing shape, considering how friggin' old it is. But this is my mom's doing more than it is. It certainly had nothing to do with
No,
Carrie.
your mom never let anything get thrown out. If she saw it about to be thrown out, she would take it and put it in Carrie's garage.
But it wasn't actually, it was considered rescuing it. That's how she looked at it.
Yeah.
Because Carrie frequently rotated her environment. And whatever was sort of in the room could end up in the garage or worse. And that would include things that are fairly significant. My mother would give her stuff, and she might find it, removed to the garage or worse. Sometimes it would go to the guest houses and then to the garage. But in any way you look at it, it was disconcerting to my mother who, spent her whole life preserving and collecting. And she actually had the foresight to think that maybe Carrie would care or we would care at some future date about different things.
Yeah.
So everything got saved. And it started with DR Studios. So in the 70s, my mom bought Debbie Reynolds Dance Studios, and there was a very big storage area there that was getting gradually reduced because the dance school was expanding, and so we had less and less storage. And so in the 90s, we built the warehouse on the ranch, and that allowed for my mother to start writing ranch on everything. And then we had pallet racks, and we still do. And
when we were just there, I went in and
do
looked.
people know you were just there?
Yes, of course. I posted pictures of us there. It was kind of, you know what I liked about that? It was kind of like going on a honeymoon because we haven't been there, or I haven't been there in 5 years. So it was really, it's such a romantic place. It really was. And he built the bedroom, the master bedroom. It's like a tree house. It's when you're up in it, it's just surrounded by a balcony, and all you see are trees and
You want to share a
peacocks.
picture of it?
I don't know if we
I
have
have it
one.
handy.
Fantastic. And what's great about it is that the peacocks fly up on the balcony. And I remember that when we first got those peacocks, and I didn't know anything about peacocks. They were a rescue, so they were dropped off. And I'm like, well, what do you feed a peacock? And it turns out you really kind of don't have to feed them when they're in a natural habitat. They eat bugs and grass and all that
So
stuff.
while you're talking, there's the
Okay, all right.
there's the bedroom.
Yes. So this is the ranch.
In fact, there's Archie in the distance there. You see Archie?
I see Archie right there. I see him. And so, but it's like, it's neat because the
There's
peacocks,
the other
they
angle.
like to, they're
There's the
peeping
other angle.
toms. There's the treehouse, you see? But they're like peeping toms. All of a sudden you feel like someone's watching you. Turn around and there's a bird face looking at you through the window. And it's so, you know, Jerry has peacocks too because they were left over at the Wayne Newton Ranch, and he's attached to that Wayne Newton Ranch, and he said that they come around and look through his windows too. So they're little peeping toms.
Well,
peacocks.
actually, I have a picture. Would you like to see that?
Yes, if you have a picture of,
Just real quick, Ryan said that we need to join the studio store to be able to bid.
oh, okay. All right, so if you want to bid on the Star Wars game, anybody, you need to belong to the Debbie Reynolds Studio Store page on Facebook, and just go ahead and go and join that. Ryan will hook you up into the room, and you could be a member. It's a private page, but
Here's your.
there's the
here's
peacock
what she was
looking
just
through
talking
the window.
about.
Look
That's
at
the
that.
window.
That's Pretty Boy right there.
So he comes up to the window and wonders what in the heck is going on in there.
I mean, they just come and stare at you through the window. Actually, look at that gorgeous bird. And that's a male. It isn't fair. The males in the bird world get all the pretty colors and all
Well, I
that.
think in the real life too. I mean, it's
Well,
not
no,
just.
but so we
it's
get
not
to
just.
paint all of our colors on. That's what I
Oh.
love about being
Oh,
a
there's
woman.
there's another
what God
angle.
didn't give me, I draw in.
There's another
what
angle.
God didn't give me, I put on bronzer. I mean, you know, it's just that simple. But look at that. In the bird world, they
He's-
get away with birder. Look at this. Look.
Yeah, he's
That's one
beautiful.
of the most beautiful birds I've ever seen. Letty named him Pretty Boy. So look at his head. Look at the blue. It almost looks like some kind of chicken comb. But that is one gorgeous. Look at Teresa Batsul Hill goes, be right back. Going to the dance studio page. Teresa, it's called the Debbie Reynolds Studio Store.
Right. So let me address what we're doing a little bit. Okay. So we've obviously for years now, it seems like we've been doing this.
Yeah.
We've been doing collectibles, and we launched the studio store last year, I guess. And we started to. We don't have any staff for this. We've used it as a platform to raise money for different charity things. We've also used it just to fund whatever is going on around here. But there's no manpower is the problem. So but if we could get it rolling and I could explain better about collecting, maybe there would be a nice. Our goal is to try to have something now every week.
Yeah, it is.
Is that not the
and
goal?
It is. And another goal to which would be fun is if we do a live auction show or claim show, one or the other. But
Well,
I like the
I'm
idea
willing
of
to-
it
I'm willing to-
because you can tell the history and provenance of some of the pieces,
Well,
and so
and-
people that are interested in collecting, they get to learn at the same time. I like that idea.
Well, I'm willing to actually do something else. So just to use it as an example, what we've just, been talking about,
Yeah.
collecting whatever, and then we have the studio store. So the problem with collecting is if you don't know what you're buying, you can get anything. But I am a huge eBay fan.
Yeah.
So I will do along the way here sort of teach people a little bit about collecting. So like if I right now said Mark Hamill or let's do Carrie Fisher.
And also, we always have to reference it when you have a piece. You have to, before you buy it, if it's an expensive piece and it involves a signature, you really need to have that authenticated.
Well, no, there are so here on eBay are Carrie's cutouts that are being remade today.
Yeah.
So if you don't really have the money and you don't want to have something like that's quote unquote collectible,
Yeah.
you can get away with not doing that. So you notice, by the way, they have no original Star Wars cutouts here, much less Mark Hamill. But if you don't really have the money, it's a fun thing to have. But on the other hand, if you're trying to get a little more serious and maybe have something that someday is worth something,
Right.
Then you do like what Ryan's doing, and you pick an area and you focus on it, and you get good at it. But Carrie is an interesting. We're talking about Carrie. It's her birthday 2 days ago. We're going to do a thing about Carrie. But you'll notice these price tags on some of these cards here. Here, I'll switch so you guys can see what I'm looking at. So these are some of the Star Wars cards. You see some giant numbers. See, now look at these toys. Those are the Kenner toys.
Oh my gosh! Look at $20,000.
Now I think their heads in the clouds there, but
Oh my gosh!
But to be
That's
fair,
insane.
now look, see now so like there's just an autograph card that somebody thinks is worth 14 grand. Well, that's clearly not worth 14 grand, nor is this, in my opinion. But as we move along, a poster, on the other hand,
Your
signed.
mom used to say, it's worth whatever someone is willing to pay for it at the time. That's the very nature of auctions.
And that is a very true statement.
Yeah.
That is the definition of an auction.
Yeah.
But how do you know you're buying something, that's real? Like when I'm looking at Carrie's signature, since I have a million examples and I've seen them my whole life, I know very quickly if it's really Carrie's autograph. So if you're trying to buy signed things, it's dangerous as hell unless you really know what the hell you're doing. You'll notice these original posters here from Star Wars. This is probably the most popular Star Wars poster, but it could be worth thousands of dollars, and that's just the original. This is original.
That does not have any signatures or anything, and they're asking almost $9,000 for it.
Yeah, I think that's overpriced. Once again, though, if you had to have one, you see, that's what it would be. On the other hand, you might pick one up at auction for less. So collecting is an interesting game. You really do need to know kind of what you're doing. Like let's look for this game. Since we brought up the game,
Yeah.
Let's find the Star Wars. I guess what they call it. Okay, Star Wars game. I'm just curious. I don't even know. I haven't even looked this up. I assume Ryan has. Let's see, game. Of course, this is old, so again, we're going to have to.
Ryan just said, we do have an original Return of the Jedi poster signed by Carrie. Smiling face.
Okay, so like that we're going to put up, you mean? Assuming I'm willing? What do you mean?
I don't know.
Did he ask me? Is that a question or a statement?
No, it was just it says we have it. He didn't say it's for sale. He
Oh,
didn't
well,
say
no.
anything like
Well,
that.
look, I believe that I have every single Star Wars poster except for one.
You gave him one. You gave Ryan
I gave a
one.
couple of them, signed
Yeah.
ones, actually.
Yeah, I saw that.
But Ryan kicks his ass doing shit for us and then never wants to get anything for it. So anyway, I'm scanning along here. You can see over my shoulder, I'm looking for this Star Wars game. And of course, it's nowhere to be seen on here, which goes to show you the rarity of a particular item. When you're getting back to these original 1977 toys, it's extremely rare. So, let's see if we can put the name of it in here, because it says it's called Escape from Death Star.
All right. So people are asking and saying, Latex, remember to check sold listings on eBay to get an idea of worth and their asking prices.
Yeah, so like here, I found a good example. So here's the game. Of course, it's not Carrie's game, but here's the game. And they want $500 for one that's not sealed, but there may be one here that's sealed. So there's a range of what the game goes for on eBay. Of course, it says super rare, and they say last one, whatever that means. But on the other hand, this says 2019. Now, so anyway, the lesson to be learned here is it's got to turn you on too. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like if you're going to collect something, find something that kind of turns you on. The action figures for a lot of people are fun because they grew up around it. They want that. I collect DVDs, not expensive, but I try to have, as you know, I have 6,000 or 7,000 DVDs because I like to have all the classic films. There are things that I deem as classic.
I know, and he doesn't rent movies, he buys them, and so sometimes I'll go, oh my gosh, this is a terrible movie, why did you buy it? The answer is?
That way I can throw it away if I really, there are occasions where I'll throw it away.
Or
it's
leave
that
it in
bad.
the sun outside and
No,
turn into an ashtray.
No, I get rid of them. But okay, honestly, I'll even keep the bad ones. And the real reason for watching all movies is also to learn what works, what doesn't work,
Yeah.
what's good, what's bad, what's not funny, what is funny. And so there is something to be learned from bad movies. Again, though, it's always an opinion, right? So my opinion is, if I watch enough movies, I have a very broad taste, and maybe I learned something on how cameras move, what things should look like. Hopefully you learn something from the great movies. That's why I like collecting the great movies.
You know, it's funny, the other day, people in last week, people in the room were chatting, and Frank Ferruccio put up on a Facebook post, he was watching something called The Watcher on Netflix. Well, of course, I love scary movies, so I was like, what is this? And I found it, and we watched the whole thing in one night, didn't we?
Well, that's kind of our MO, isn't it?
Yeah, we binge. When I talk about what we started watching, it was episode 1, and then we go, one more, okay, 2, one more, 3, and next thing, we watched like all 10 episodes in one day and night without, well, I think I got up to cook something, but it was...
Well, now, speaking of Frank Ferruccio, see, now he's a classic example of a collector that found a niche, right? So he has, well, I guess you could almost say he collects divas, but really, obviously, he's got a lot of my mother's stuff. He may be the largest Debbie collector besides myself.
I think you're right.
I mean, honestly, I know of other people that have a few pieces.
We both have deep, the sound is off, you both have deep voices.
The sound is off.
Okay, so are we having sound issues? Have you seen anything, Brenda?
I haven't seen anything.
Okay.
One. Well, you want me to go back there?
Oh, Ryan just started episode 1 today. Stick with it, Ryan. It gets really good.
No sound issues on.
Tammy Wilson watched the whole series
maybe
yesterday.
nothing, 'cause people-
Barbara Hammond,
One.
too. This is so great. Okay,
One. Stop talking 1 second, Kat.
Okay.
1. Now talk.
Okay, so we're trying just to set the sound and make sure that
No,
it's
there was
better.
no problem.
No?
Somebody should check their speakers.
Okay. All right.
So, in any event, I was talking about Frank, and he's a good example of somebody that has gotten into collecting in a huge way, and it's like a big part of his life as it is mine. And whether you collect, didn't have to be Hollywood stuff either. I mean, my sister did not collect Hollywood stuff. She collected like kitchen, esoteric kitchen and drug examples of drugs and kitchen products.
On the wall she had
products.
Carrie had on framed in like a shadow box a piece of toast that had Elvis's image on it, like the dark spots where you burn toast in the toaster sometimes made a perfect Elvis in the toast. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, it just shows you her.
She had the weirdest but coolest things.
But again, what turns you on? And Carrie used to pay attention to a lot of everybody else's interests. And when we would travel, she would collect for obscure people. I won't mention names, but a lot of her friends that she went to school with and stuff would have little collections of anything. She would buy that stuff. She wasn't hard. My mother was the most hardcore collector on earth that I've ever known. Nobody even comes close. As far back as my memory goes, I was at auctions with her and her buying things, and she used to put up her hand like this
And just
when she
leave
wanted
it up?
and leave it there. and people would look around, they'd see that and be like, oh, forget it. We're out. Because when she starts, it was actually a tactic. The truth is there was a limit. But in the early days, there was no limit, so you were messing with somebody who was just going to buy this no matter what. Now, I'm not sure all that was smart, but in her case, she was trying to complete the Hollywood collection, so she had to have certain things. So what we've done is we have warehouses full of stuff. And we're moving those warehouses right now. We are shutting down the ranch. It's going to be it is on the market.
Yep.
We're closing down the ranch. We have moved a lot of stuff here, but we're going to move a lot more. And so there will be a lot more stuff that we will keep unearthing. I mentioned earlier the Mark Hamill thing. That was just thrown in the corner. doing nothing. There's more of them there, not of those, but
Yeah.
there's more of. I got the
Original
Well, I
cutouts.
found Chewbacca there too, but he had been opened, so I thought I'd keep him.
I have a question, if I can remember what it was, because I had it in my head and
About
then I was
collectibles?
listening to you.
It better be.
No, but I'm so relaxed today. I have that Sunday kind of vibe going on. I'm really, really relaxed today. I'm actually caught up on sleep. I can hardly believe it. I don't even know what to do with myself. I feel
Are we getting
so
to the question?
awake. I'm getting to the question. Here we go. All right. So Nicole Johnson said, in terms of films, I would love to collect Judy Holliday memorabilia, but anything for her is extremely rare.
Correct.
Now, who starred
You have a Judy Hart.
I have a Judy Holliday dress from Born Yesterday.
Right.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And isn't it a trivia costume?
It is.
It's yeah. So that's kind of cool. I actually have a piece from Judy Holliday.
No, but she's right. There are certain actors and actresses where there just is nothing, and they don't have to be super famous. This can just happen. So if you want to collect Judy Holliday, you're going to have to register with all the big entertainment memorabilia auction houses and keep an eye on those. That would be like Profiles and Histories, Christie's. More recently, Heritage has bought Profiles and History, so Heritage has got a lot of stuff going on. Sotheby's, Butterfield's, Darren Julian. There are a number of major houses, smaller ones. The Prop Store is having a huge auction right now in England. And it may not be your taste, obviously. Some of this stuff's more contemporary. John Haas is buying stuff from this more recent auction because he loves things from the television show Lost.
Yeah.
So that's his show. And also Lord of the Rings. So he has collected a couple of big oversized posters that are very rare that I helped him find. And then he has some small pieces from these different things.
Our John we're talking about. His man cave is so cool. It has a piece of the plane from Lost.
The fuselage, yeah.
The fuselage on the wall.
Yeah.
And then he has all kinds of costumes from all different things. But it's so great. You think John got that from your mom and you?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I don't know anybody in his family who collects into this stuff. So, you see how that works, though. It's like, to me, it's part of life. You hang around people and you take on sometimes a little bit of who they are and their passions. In my mother's case, she had this passion about preserving Hollywood and its history, and it rubbed off her. It was contagious and got onto Carrie and I, and we helped her with her dream. But it also made us collectors individually. Carrie was a very passionate collector of folk art and other things, and art glass, and really lamps like Handel and Gallet and Steuben glass lamps. And hopefully my niece will take good care of that collection because it took Carrie decades to amass it.
Yeah.
And so there are very important things that we can all do to preserve a little bit of history without being the Smithsonian Museum, And then one day you leave that to your family, they hand it down, or it gets donated to a museum or something, who knows, whatever you're collecting. You never know what you're going to find. That's the beauty of all of this, is that every one of you can go out to a garage sale. There's somebody in nowhere, America, in some small town that got left something that they don't know what it is because they didn't get told.
Right.
So they'll sell it at a garage sale or on eBay, and all of a sudden you find these great treasures. That's what that show is all about, the road show.
Oh, yeah. We used to, actually, when you and I were traveling across the country in the RV, because Todd came with me on the road for the first few years, and we would go in the RV. Now, of course, gas is $7 a gallon out here, so we're not doing the RV.
$10,000 to move the RV.
$10,000 to go down the street in the RV. It's ridiculous. I miss traveling in it, but until things get better, that is, the RV is in the
Well, and I
garage
used to run
staying in the
biodiesel
garage.
in it too, and that's even more money.
Yeah, I know. And I loved going across the country because Todd turned me on to garage sales and swap meets.
Flea market.
Flea markets.
No,
yes.
they're all good words, but it depends where you go.
Gosh, that is
Like
so
when you're
much
in
fun.
England, you have to say you're looking for a boot sale.
Oh, that's what they're called?
And that's super confusing because when I was I've traveled the world, and wherever I am in the world, I always try to figure out where is that sale. So in some countries, they don't use the terms like we do.
Yes.
But in the U.S., obviously, a garage sale is one thing. The flea markets is usually someone who's making a career or a little bit of a side job out of it, right? So they go to the garage sales and bring it to the flea market. And so but I have to tell you, I have found amazing treasures. I find it very relaxing to wander through the rows of a great swap meet. It is the epitome and the last holdout of American capitalism. You walk, there's nobody collecting sales tax. These people are putting the cash in their pocket. You can negotiate and cry about your mother just, is pregnant, or, any excuse why you can't afford to pay $5 for that item. And it's just so much fun. And it's the real pure spirit of this country and the way it was intended to function on an economic scale. And if you go back in history, because I've researched this, those things, those sales, they may not have been called that, but throughout history, all the way back to the colonial era, those sales have been going on. People, and they would give, of course, it was many years ago, it was also, we would give our stuff to the church, and they'd have the church bazaar.
Right.
And they'd sell all of your extra stuff to raise money to church. Any way you want to look at it, this is something that's been a part of our culture. And finding that treasure, at that church bazaar, that flea market, the swap meet, the boot sale, whatever, and you take that little piece of treasure and then you build on it. You found one thing, and then you want to find the next thing that goes with it. So if you collect action figures, there's no end to it. I've noticed. Like Ryan's house looks to me like it's filled. He's not.
Ryan's house looks like a store. But
Well,
I will say
but
this.
that's his OCD too.
It is, and thank God for it, because that's what makes Ryan so great at everything he does.
True.
But if you go into he built out his basement, which is the ultimate man cave. And when you go in there, he has like store racks with all the action figures on them. And then they're on shelves and everything, and it's just an awesome thing you walk
But
into.
doesn't that show you, though? That's what I meant. Like it all started. I can tell you his story without even knowing it. I don't know his story, but I'm telling you, his story is started with a few when he was a kid. Then he had some money when he's a little older, so they can buy the ones he didn't have. And pretty soon you're looking for the ones in the original packaging, and then that's and there's no end to it. You could have thousands of dollars tied up in no time collecting any of these things. However, you see what's happened to these prices. I mean, something that's worth $100, in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years.
Hey, you know what? Listen, your mom is the most perfect example, because even, was it Warren Buffett, just did not get her vision. You know what I mean? Like he loved your mom.
Yep.
They were good friends, but he just didn't get it. And so it was so wonderful when it was terrible that the collection had to be sold, but it was so wonderful that it did so well, because then people had to say she was right. And that
Even
was
the Wall Street Journal.
Even the Wall Street Journal, Warren Buffett, nobody saw her vision. And when that auction happened, it was beautiful, because it was like, well, there it is. She was right. People care. People want these things. It means something to people, and it was a great.
I think that we as a society in this country have made a horrible mistake in not preserving more aggressively our history. I think the culture that's going on right now is a nightmare for that. I mean, nobody is trying to condone things that have happened historically, but it is part of our history. And we really don't want to repeat any of that. So it's good to know how we got here. And many of these artifacts that we're talking about now, and collectibles, they do reflect some dark times, potentially, depending on what you collect. Like I collected for many years military medals. Well, you could say these military medals reflect on a very dark period. It's all war.
Yes.
I have medals from the Civil War all the way up to contemporary times, but covering everything from the Indian Wars and places where we never should have been, and there we were. But there's a guy that went there and tried to represent and perhaps live or die, for his country, to protect our way of life and to our security. And so it's an honorable thing, the medals. But the medals, if you look at them the wrong way, you could say, oh, we should destroy these because it talks about the Indian Wars and look what we did to the Indians. Yes, we screwed the Indians over worse than anything on earth can imagine. I mean, the stuff that we look at today when you imagine like the discrimination or whatever you want to talk about today is child's play. We're talking about the genocide of an entire race of people that used to own the whole place. We not only took their land, but we tried to wipe them out. Okay, so that's a horrible thing. But there's a beautiful part of the culture. And like my mother collected the Kachina dolls and certain Indian artifacts. Why, I don't really know, but she did. Because I think she just loved again, if you just destroy all that, you're ruining the entire culture of a race. So we need to preserve everything about that, including the bad stuff. And you need to teach our children about all of this so we don't make these mistakes again. The idea that we just try to tear it all down and hide it or burn it or get rid of it is madness. The idea that we don't preserve architecture and beautiful buildings around our country, historic streets or just, history is a huge mistake. And we're not teaching our kids anything by ripping down statues and monuments. That's not helping the situation. It would be better to explain why you think that guy shouldn't have a statue and why it should be moved to the different side of town, if that's what you want. But the issue is preserving history is important, beautiful art, and everything I'm talking about right now. I mean, Star Wars, if you really want to think about it, is a crazy story. It's a space western about people killing each other and everything else. But what is great about it is it's like this good versus evil and beautiful philosophies in conflict. And people, my sister, one of them, is embodying those philosophies and putting them on display and showing them why you should be this way. And Carrie lived that way.
Yeah.
She was that person. This leads perfectly into the Carrie thing. So I'm going to just, is it okay to segue?
Yeah.
We're ready for a segue?
We're ready for a segue. I didn't mind that little rant because I think that is so true. And I wish I could give the credit to the person that wrote it, but they said you can't have the good without the bad. And that is really true. So when you were talking about history, and how we need to preserve history and all of its,
The pursuit, though, of having all the good is what's important. Sometimes we get faced with a lot of bad stuff and we tend to shrink back and go into our own worlds instead of leaning into it. What has made this country different than many other countries is we never succumb to the evil. We always pushed back. So when you don't like the ideas that are being pushed towards you today, you push back what your beliefs are. And hopefully they're beliefs of freedom and goodness and things the roots of this country. That is how you play the game. When you don't like what you see out there and you don't like what you hear, you could just say, I'm staying home and reading a book. Or you can say that I'm going to speak out against that. The only way that evil is squelched is by countering it with faith and love and the opposite of those things. So the reason why this country has survived is we have a notorious attitude in this country, which is what makes this country so great. We just don't take a lot of shit off of anybody.
Yeah.
And like in the movie Network when he yells out the window, we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore.
Oh, I love
That's
that
a
movie.
great attitude to have when you really feel that way. And right now we live in times where there are plenty of things to bitch about. So get out there and do something about it, whether it be vote or take action at your school boards or your city councils. You don't like what's going on I hate what they're doing in this town with the building department. It seems kind of trite. But they just allow anything to be built. There's like no style or class or beautiful architecture. It's just how many boxes can we squeeze into a lot, and that's just not right. Things, need to be pleasing and beautiful. It shouldn't just be how many can we stuff into a box. So there's lots of things that are not horrific. But when you do see they're horrific, do something about it. That's how that's how this country will continue.
Yes.
If we all sit back and do nothing, then we're done. We're going to be like a lot of European countries that just faded away into nothingness because they were all busy drinking wine and eating cheese. And so, not that I'm against eating wine and cheese.
No, you're not.
It's a grand thing.
You're not against it at all.
But when you're done, get up and do something beyond that. Anyway.
All right, so what do you want to segue into?
I was going to segue into Carrie because it was her birthday a couple days ago.
Yes.
And so we were thinking about her. And, there's a lot of things you can say about Carrie. But one thing, Carrie was a really interesting mixture of all the things I've just been saying. and a great example of somebody that spoke her mind, and no matter who she was in front of, there was no fear. She just said and spoke her mind and did what she wanted to do, the way she wanted to do it, yet in an intelligent way. And by the way, Carrie had friends on all sides of all issues. She was willing and able to hear all points of view. She was able to change her points of view when she learned something. And so that's what makes a well-rounded person. Carrie and I didn't agree on every issue, but there was a beautiful sort of balance to the whole thing. And we had a really nice back and forth. She had very strong points of view on a lot of subjects. But I think the most important thing to her was to thine own self be true.
Yes.
And so when she let you know that she was mentally ill, how many people, do that? They don't do it. They hide that. How many people say, I'm a drug addict, hopefully at the AA meeting, but just in a huge way? How about write a book about it? So she was very outspoken about that, and it was intended also to help her. That's the cool thing about it. It wasn't just a one-way thing. I'm not writing this book just to make money off of my infirmities. She was writing it to help others.
Yes.
Inspire others how to overcome, how to excel in the face of great adversity. And so it all began with this picture right here. There's a picture there. So there's Carrie in the arms of my mom. I'm going to show you guys pictures that have never been seen before, and I'll throw it up like that. And I'll just talk over it as we go. I don't know how long.
You know what's incredible? I'm looking at this picture, and I'm looking at your mom. She is so young here. And her face stayed the same to the very end.
The only thing changed in this picture is her eyebrows. Those were really
yes,
her eyebrows.
But she had the same exact structure. I mean, nothing changed. That nose, the lips. I mean, you know what I love too about your mom? Her nails were always perfect, and she never went to get a manicure. She did it herself.
That is true.
And I would be like, wow,
I used to see her
do
sit
your
in
left
bed
hand?
a lot of times, and she'd file and play with her cuticles.
And
All right,
then-
I'm going to start
yeah,
this little show.
Okay, anyway,
as we
your
go.
mom looks exactly the same to me.
That is true. So there's my dad, and there's Carrie. And this is before I'm in the picture. And there's my great-grandmother, and my grandmother, my mom, and Carrie. There's Eddie. This is at the Conway house. Again, you're just born. There I am. Well, there's probably some earlier stuff. That's on the set of How Sweet It Is. This is actually in the living room at Conway, and that's Carrie and where we used to play. And there's Carrie. Carrie used to treat me like I was like a toy. And so there we are at some event. I don't know what we're doing. That was actually around the time of How the West Was Won.
Look how much you two
This
look
is on
alike
the
in
set
that.
of a movie. That's the Palm Springs house with Carrie and I playing. This is going very quickly, but I don't need to spend that. That was our nurse, my grandmother. These are some of the magazine covers. By the way, there's endless magazine covers, of all of this shenanigans. My mother, was getting a lot of attention. Why won't Daddy be with us all the time? And there he is. And I like this picture because he's kind of blurred, which is exactly how I was in real life. This was in Hawaii. And that's Carrie and I traveling with our mom. That was actually How the West Won. We were in Paducah, Kentucky. That's the backyard at the Greenway house. It's Carrie's playing with my mom. Aren't those beautiful pictures? It's like Technicolor.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that a beautiful little shot?
You don't see color like that today.
Isn't that cute?
Yes. Oh,
That was our little yard. That was Carrie used to love to be on the phone to the bitter end. She never got off the phone. See Carrie holding a thing of film. That's How the West Was Won. That's us in the tree at the Greenway house when we first moved there. There's Benny the bird, one of Carrie's first
Oh my
significant
goodness,
pets.
look at that.
And there we are back in the falling down in the mud. I posted that picture today just to promote the show. Notice the Christmas tree in the background. That was the front yard at Greenway. We're always being posed. That was one of my birthdays. And you see Carrie sitting there with me. Back with the Christmas tree always. You notice how, and that's...
Is that a peace sign you had on
I
around
did have
your
a
neck?
peace sign
How
early
cute
on.
is that?
This is Carrie's birthday. My dad showed up to this birthday party. There's Carrie with something in her hair, little thing. You can see, this is a rare thing to see Eddie around, though. He had to probably been guilt-tripped into it. There's Carrie in the car with my dad. I took that picture, so that's probably a little later on. I was probably 12. Carrie and I in Europe together. That's in
Oh,
the backyard of
Can
Greenway.
you
I
pause
took that.
Oh, damn
I
it.
can.
That picture was beautiful.
I can pause it, I believe, just by doing that.
Oh my gosh, that picture
I took
is
that in
so
the Greenway house.
You took that? You have always been such a talented photographer. Always.
There's a mixture here, and I didn't obviously take all these. As we get a little later into it, of course, I would have taken.
Your mom looks at peace there.
Now that's actually here in Vegas, out on the boat on Lake Mead.
Mead?
Now this is a little later where Carrie's with Eddie, and he's got the bad facelifts. So there's Carrie, John Courtney, and Kathy Afshin. We're probably in Palm Springs. I don't know why I included that one. I just thought it was funny. So there's Carrie. Now, by the way, you see that picture over Carrie's head? There's that picture in my mom's room. That's Carrie actually in the den at the Greenway house. Back to Palm Springs. That picture was taken by George Sidney, the director. Now, this is Carrie on stage, the Vegas days. This around the same time. She's with my dad there.
Oh, wow.
I have
look
that
how,
costume.
Can you stop that?
I have that
That's
costume, as you
so
know.
Pretty. Yeah, that's in our living room. I love that picture. Look at her face. Look at that picture. So much going on.
So that was a Bob Mackie costume. There she is later in the show.
Yep.
That's a different outfit from a different time. Start getting into costume changes, you're getting serious.
That picture.
I found a little sequence of those. I thought they were really cute.
Oh yeah. Was
This
that
is-
Las Vegas?
Yeah, that was Vegas. This is New York City, and on the cover of my book is this picture. This is in Central Park. There's a whole sequence of pictures here I'm going to show you that have never been seen. There's one of just the two of them. You can see did not get seen. My mom was doing Irene the play. That's a little shenanigans during Central Park. This is actually the London Palladium. I took these pictures during the rehearsal of the London Palladium. So they were getting ready to Carrie's first show. By this point, I was filming and taking pictures. I didn't want anything to do with performing at the London Palladium. Back to Central Park, so a little out of sequence there. And you can see we're all acting like this is what we do all the time, as if.
People are enjoying the pictures very much. Thank you, Eileen Fetterman. Thank you. I saw all of your
Now this
posts.
is a different type of photography. Now I'm going to show you what I saw. I feel like these are Carrie mood pictures that I've taken.
Okay, Jordan is here. Jordan the Lion. Hello, Jordan. I miss you. It's been way too long since we've even talked. That's ridiculous. But I think you're coming out soon, if I'm not mistaken. So let me
Stopping this
know.
whole thing.
No, he's saying, do you think Carrie was better or worse when Eddie was involved with events?
There was no difference.
No difference.
She didn't. We didn't pay a lot of attention.
She was probably just happy to see
He
him.
would show up. Everybody was stunned. And everybody's like, great, whatever. But no, everybody acted the same. So watch carefully these pictures as go back to the close-up. Yeah, we're going to watch these pictures closely because these really kind of almost reflect some really beautiful moods even with Carrie. And
Did
you'll
you
see,
take these?
I took every picture you're about to see. So these are all, that included. Now that's Irene. I took that off while she was performing. But even that picture, look at the attitude in the face right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And of course this one.
I love that picture.
I was in Venice, Italy. But each one of these represents sort of a different feeling of Carrie. And you really, look. See this?
Yes.
And this?
Yes. Thank you, Keith Myers. I saw your post. Thank
Now,
you.
by the way, Carrie took this picture of me. That's a reverse shot.
Oh,
Isn't that a great
that's-
picture?
I love that picture of you and your mom.
But that's a very
awesome.
cool picture. That's her, Connie Freiberg, and Joan Hackett. That's Carrie. There's Carrie doing one of her. She used to get dressed up like she was dead. It's like white makeup. Now there she is. That's in Venice. Not Venice,
No,
it's in
that's
Italy.
Rome.
This picture I just love. So let's stay on this picture just for a sec. I mean, look at the composition of that picture, and tell me what is going on when you look at that picture in her mind. What do you think?
A complicated mind.
Complicated look.
Yeah, that's what I see.
It's a complicated time.
Yeah.
But
How old is she there?
she is at 71, so she's a teenager, 15.
Oh, that's around the time that I think that it was hardest for her because it was all starting to, the bipolar was starting to really come out at like 14, 15 is when she started to
These are a
really
little later
feel
sequences.
it. Yeah.
I just tossed these in. I do have a lot more, assuming people can tolerate it.
Right.
But obviously, there's a limit to how much. I love that picture.
I love that too.
That's what the green one.
Oh my, love it.
Some of these are a little out of sequence. That was Carrie's birthday.
Oh, that's beautiful.
There's her and Danny. I couldn't find, when we were doing the memorial, I couldn't find
Okay,
any.
if you go back, you can see the way their hands are. I know I'm a body language freak, but look at, yes, that right there. You see the
What about it?
the
Tell
grip,
us.
the grip.
So you want to go close on it?
Yeah, he is more into her than she is him.
No. She's holding.
I get it, but he's really gripping. You see that? It's a clutch. It's a
I could not find any pictures of them when we were doing the memorial, and so I was happy to locate that particular one. So that was like a big win as far as I was. Is everybody liking this? They want more?
Oh yeah, nope. People
You want
are
more
happy.
of it?
Todd, your mic is going out, someone said.
Oh, brother.
So just make sure your battery is good. Someone else said it too. Audio on Todd is cutting out. Okay, so we'll have to fix that. You might need a handheld.
I don't have time for anything like that.
Okay, so you want my mic?
I don't know that I need it.
Okay.
Let me just see.
So we'll try
Stop
to get
talking
his
for a
fixed.
second.
Okay.
One. No, I'm on right now. I'll just leave the receiver here. I was sitting on the cable, so I might have been pulling on it. That could have been why it was causing trouble. Okay, so I'll show you, if you guys are liking this,
They are.
I'll show you some more recent stuff that I just found. Like here's one of Danny and Carrie I just found.
Oh yeah. Look how young they are. Oh, I just wish that would have worked out because I like him so much.
Yes, it would have been a good thing.
Yeah.
Of course, in hindsight, who knows?
Right.
There's
Oh,
Albert Brooks
Brooks.
and Carrie. I don't know who the guy on the right is. Then there's Carrie and Irene, another one of those. There's Carrie with Billy. I took that picture at her other house. Isn't that a cute picture of them?
Let me see. Oh yeah. Oh there. Billy so little there. Look at that.
Is there a note there that you want to say something?
No, this is from a couple weeks ago. From Ryan today. Okay.
Oh, I just found something else today that was kind of unique.
Okay.
Let's see, here they are right here. I just have to spin it around, but I just found this picture today.
Oh, look at you too.
So that was in Vegas back in the day. So there's a sequence of these. Got to rotate. So this one, you looking at these? Look at that. Another cool
Oh
one.
yeah.
Oh, so we're doing Bridge Over Troubled Water. See the capo's on the 5th fret.
So you know what you're playing.
I do, because that was Carrie's key for Bridge on the Troubled Water. So she's doing When You're Weary, and then I would play the lead into that with the whole orchestra behind us. It was quite something. There it is again. I think that's the same picture. Oh, this is a good one. Let's turn. We got to rotate this one 3 times. Uh-oh. There you go. Too far. Over rotate. Stop us. Okay. Yep, that's definitely Bridge Over Troubled Water. She killed that song. She did such a great job with that song. That was like made for her. Anyway, back to us. So, are you wanting more of this, Carrie? Stuff,
it's almost time to give prizes away.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because I do have 500,000 pictures, so there's no end to it, in truth.
All right. So, I'm trying to see if there's anything here that...
Well, here's a great example of a photograph. So that's a picture of the cutout
yeah.
from my office, signed by her, little arrow pointing to her head. She signed that in the office that day. And then that's Billy and Carrie and visiting me in Vegas here in my office. Isn't that funny?
Yes.
So so then that's now sitting right here. All these years, 30 years.
Oh, there it is.
30 years later.
You see, I can't get over that you can have things from 60 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, and that all the times, all the moves that were made in this family, But you were in the same place for a long time.
Well, yeah, I mean, you kept it. You like that picture?
Yes, I do. I do. I like it a lot.
Here, let's share that one then. That's Carrie kind of in this blurry sort of, it's like a message picture. That's the way I see that picture. But these are all early pictures. No one's seen any of these. You know, these are just my collection of pictures. This is a good one.
Oh, jeez. Did she have a great sense of humor even back then? Was she as quick-witted when she was
Well, here
young?
she is being pregnant. I always thought that was funny. She always was fascinated by that. She would always make herself pregnant. And then look at the look on her face.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So yeah, she's
Oh, I love this picture. That's really cool. This one right here.
that one right there. I think I
Yeah.
had that one up once though.
That is a really cool picture. I don't know if it gets any better, you know, that you get to perform with your mom and cut your teeth in Las Vegas. And I mean,
love that
that's,
picture.
Oh, I love that picture too.
That's out of Lake Mead, by the way. And if you'll notice in the background right here, there's no white water line. The lake was filled at that time.
Yes.
But
Now they're finding bodies on the bottom of the lake.
take a look at this. Look at that picture zoomed in.
Yeah. Wow. Oh yeah.
Attitude.
Right.
That is Princess Leia in being cooked. You're talking about, you know, here she is jumping out of an airplane with me. I had to get out of the plane to take the picture for her.
You were off the plane. You already jumped out when you took that picture?
No, I was hanging out the door. There's a door right there.
Oh my God, Todd. There's no way.
Look-
Did she solo jump?
Yeah, we both do.
Oh my gosh.
She wanted to go. Well, you know, in those days it was handled differently.
Yes.
Today they won't let you do this, but back in those days, hey, oh, here's a good one. No one's seen that one. I took that picture.
Oh my gosh, I have never seen that shot. How old was she when she married Paul Simon?
Oh, I don't know. You know, what is she, 30?
They both look so young there.
It was a different time, gentler time.
It was a more gentle time. Exactly.
This is actually an interesting one. It doesn't seem to be very high resolution. How about this one?
Oh yes. Was that on the cruise ship?
No, that was in Venice. That was Paul Allen's birthday party at the Denali in Venice. That's the lobby, I believe,
Oh
of the
yeah.
Denali.
And
So
what costumes
that's
are you
Carrie.
wearing?
Well, this is Norma Shear, and this is Norma Shear. I have Tyrone Power's outfit on from Marie Antoinette.
Oh wow.
Billy, we rented her costume. We didn't have anything that was quite the right size and shape for all that.
Someone said that you need to make a coffee table book out of these pictures. I love the picture of Billy at her graduation.
Well, I took those pictures
Yeah, I
of Billy
know.
at her graduation.
I love those.
Look at the Carrie eyes. Let's forget
Mm-hmm.
about, look at that.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's the Carrie eyes.
Yes.
I probably shouldn't, you know.
There, here we go. The let's see, what's that?
Here's something worth showing. Harry Carl kidding around with Carrie. See, he had a great sense of humor. No one knew that about him. That's him in a casual outfit too, but pretty rare. Look at Carrie's face. Is that hilarious?
Yeah.
Harry always with the cigarette. This is a great mood shot of Carrie.
Oh, that is fantastic. Oh, hey, Bill Tuscalis is here.
Well, these are all very rare photos that you're seeing because nobody has seen these pictures, well, other than the immediate family, obviously.
Right,
or
whatever
myself.
we didn't
Well,
use
like
in the
you haven't
book.
even seen a lot
No.
of these, right?
I have not. Oh, I took this picture of Carrie and Gary in Telluride, Colorado. That is, I love this picture. We were outside waiting for the car to go to a screening of something, and she got down to pet Gary, and I was standing there with my camera. And I just thought this moment was absolutely amazing. You know,
Look, the way she's looking at him, yeah.
Oh, there was
Don't forget
there
the-
was a moment
don't forget
between
the
them I
Coke
had
can.
to catch.
The
you know?
Coke can as well.
The Coke can, of course. But I love that picture. Yeah, I took that in Telluride. I remember it.
That was always a
yesterday.
big item. Carrie used to love grabbing my grandmother's tits. And there it is, captured for the world to see.
I think I have the vapors. I'm going to need a glass of water.
We're
No,
not
I'm just
allowed
kidding.
we're not allowed to talk about tits?
No, we're not allowed to talk about that on
Why
Sunday
not?
at this hour. Oh, no.
I think that's a great time to talk about it,
Oh,
personally.
my goodness. Bill Tuscala says, it's so special to see these photos. The way you share your girls with us is truly beautiful, Todd, and thank you. And that is great. That is great.
Those were press pictures that I didn't have, but I just thought that was a great picture of the two of us.
You know, that is a great picture. That's a Getty picture, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's really nice.
There's Carrie. That's the Greenway house, Carrie playing on the grass
Yep.
as a teenager. That's really rare because it's one of those little cheap snapshot pictures.
Like a cardboard
Now
camera.
there's Carrie that's rare too. This is a Girl Scout picture of Carrie in her Girl Scout uniform. How rare is that?
Very. I've never seen it.
Exactly. We did. There's Lucas and Carrie. Now this is early on. Don't forget. Well, I mean, yeah, still pretty early on. That's his birthday. I seem to remember.
Yes.
Always acting the role. She's probably 10, 11 years old there, and we were always play acting different things. So we're probably doing a Greta Garbo moment here. I want to be alone. Smoking cigarettes at 11. Mom would not approve. Okay, anyway, so we've seen that. Moving along, your turn. You can take over. I don't want to keep going.
No, I just think
How about
people-
Carrie and Belushi?
I think, oh, that's so great. They were good friends,
That was
right?
during the
Blues Brothers?
The Blues Brothers movie. She was engaged to Danny at this time. But what's interesting about him is he loved Carrie. And they were always really close. And he was so disappointed when Carrie broke it off with Danny. So disappointed that was the night that he died. And he was talking to me about how upset he was that Carrie had broken it off with Danny.
So before I met you, before we got together, I remember reading the book Wired. Yeah, about John Belushi. And I remember reading that you may have been the last person to actually talk to John Belushi before he died.
Yeah, and at the time, I felt very uncomfortable about talking about that. The guy that wrote the book called me and they wanted to talk to me, but because of the way it was really raw, I just didn't have anything to say. I wrote a little bit more in my book about it, but even at that point, I haven't never really said everything that was said that evening. But, we were all pretty good pals, to some degree. More so Carrie, obviously, than me. But we were neighbors. I lived down the street from him.
Did he ask you about God that night?
We did. We talked. Well, he knew this. That's when I had started the Hiding Place Church. So
Yeah.
literally the next morning after this whole thing, I was setting up at the Beverly Theater for a church service. It was Sunday morning, and somebody walked in and said, "Did you hear John Belushi died?" So this was only, because I had left him at like 1 in the morning or whatever. It's really early in the morning. This is probably 8 in the morning. So like 6 hours later, somebody walks in and tells me that. And when they did, not only was I shocked, but I immediately flashed on, and I've told this story somewhat, but I had this little CJ5 Jeep, and I had no top on it, and it was the summertime. And so as I was pulling out of the Roxy, he was still waiting for his car, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and we were waving, and I put up my hand because in the Jeep you have just the roll bar.
Right.
So I was waving as I was pulling away, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and he was waving, and he kind of faded away. And I turned and headed down Sunset Boulevard, and that was the last I saw of him. And next time I heard about it was that church in the morning at that church service. I was truly, it was startling because I didn't ever have anything like that happen to me before. I'd never been with anybody a moment before that had left the earth, especially somebody like that who was not only, he was just really, we were all very sort of interconnected because of Danny and Carrie. We were all interconnected in a funny little way. I used to go to the Chateau Marmont with Carrie. I even remember meeting, I was at the Chateau Marmont with Carrie when he was doing his lines for Animal House.
Wow.
So I mean, we had a long history, all of us, and I used to go up to his house. He had play music up there all the time, and he lived up Coldwater to the
Right.
left. So it was startling for me because I had never experienced a loss like that, and also being at that time, a Christian who was thinking in terms of, the finality of how you don't know what tomorrow brings. I mean, and I was still in my 20s, but it's still like, wow. I mean, like a bus could fall on you the next day.
No,
and-
yes, they always say tomorrow is promised to no one, and I think that there is something to that. But what did he ask you about your Christian walk or something? I just seem to recall.
Well,
reading
first,
that.
first he was, well, I won't get into the details
Yeah.
of some of the stuff, but he had just asked a little bit about, what I was doing, and this, I had just finished doing Jesus at the Roxy, and we were at the Roxy, and he had knew about that event. So we had an event at the Roxy where a lot of Christians from Stevie Wonder on down came and just did little numbers, and we raised money for some causes at the time, but it was all these believers that got together and sang, not whatever if they felt like singing. A lot of it was just raw, like what you might call sort of like contemporary worship music. There was a performer that I had never heard of that came in there and sang, I guess you'd say sort of a soul gospel tune. It was just him and piano, and I didn't even know who this guy was. I was just blown away. It was a guy named Keith Green, and I was like, but he's just playing piano himself. And I was like, so there were people that were playing there that were incredibly talented. It wasn't always famous, but it was a magical time. And anyway, so we had chatted about that, and I would have never pressed him. That was another thing that was on my mind, was like, had I known that this was the last few hours that he was going to have on earth, would I have done something differently?
Would you have said something?
Well, I say and done.
Yeah.
And the answer is sure.
I always take my best shot. I mean, I
No,
try
but I
to
mean,
be,
think about
when
that. You
I
don't
know
know.
that somebody is near the end, because I've been with a lot of people who
I did not think of that for a
transitioned.
second.
Yeah.
We were 20-something years old, and we were indestructible. We were going to live forever, all of us, including him. That's what his whole thing was. I mean, the drugs were not going to kill him. None of us thought that. That's why everybody was shaken up so bad in our circle, because it was like, whoa, we're not immortal.
Yes.
These drugs can, things we do can actually kill us. Decisions we make can take us out. And in the end, you see how it works.
Wow, I just think that that's an amazing story. Really that you would be one of the last people to speak with him, probably, until he got back.
Well, and then you ask yourself.
It also is a lesson in who you let into your life.
But
because
ask-
the woman that gave him the drugs, she.
Well, she was the last person, obviously.
No, of course, but I'm just saying, his death was a real wake-up call to the community.
It was.
To the world, really, and because he was so very loved, John Belushi.
Oh, for sure, because he was a really sweet person.
Yeah.
But for me, what happened to me after this was, it changed, how I looked at, those moments. As you're with somebody, you have no way of knowing. Like I said, we were all indestructible. There's no way that nobody was thinking that was his thing. And for Carrie and a lot of others, they just didn't think they could be taken out, by this lifestyle. And he was just including it in his mood stabilization. Mm-hmm. The conversation, I won't get into the details that night, was about mood stabilization, which is a conversation I'm intimately familiar with because of Carrie, and he knew it, so we were talking about that. But that gets, it still doesn't, you see in this desire, to control all of that, the voices.
Right.
To control and to have a moment, to have a break, you put yourself in harm's way to the point where you don't make it.
So, Cherie Efron said, Keith Green is another beautiful person gone too soon.
Yeah, so Keith Green was a friend of mine. I became friends with him after that, and he died in a private plane crash.
Yep.
Learned a little something about air density.
Right.
There's when you fly an airplane and you're at higher elevations or the temperature is high, it changes how much weight the aircraft can handle accordingly. So he did not take into account the altitude and the temperature when he loaded his airplane, and he crashed
Was
it.
he flying it himself?
He was.
I've been on planes, even bigger jets, and I remember flying out of Memphis, and they asked people to get off the plane if anyone was willing to give up their seat because there was too much, the heat had affected the weight of the plane with the luggage.
Yeah, it's called density altitude. So the air
Nobody
gets thin.
wanted to give up their seat, and I'm sitting there thinking, someone needs to get off this plane because I don't want to be on it if no one gets
Well,
off.
there's a trade-off. You can take
Yeah.
fuel off
Yes.
and trade fuel if you don't need
Well,
the fuel.
I got off the plane, and I got all kinds of perks from the airline for doing it. But the minute I heard the plane is too heavy, and because of the heat, we have to take some people and luggage off the plane. That's all I needed. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Well, what you need to know is that it could be a life decision.
Yes, of course.
It's not at all. Now, it's less of an issue in a big jet airplane, of course, because they have a lot of power. But in a smaller airplane, this is a single engine, piston engine aircraft.
And that's why it crashed?
Yeah, you just didn't have the power to overcome the density altitude.
Yeah.
But they teach you about this when you fly, but a lot of times you get really comfortable. Maybe you fly out of that place a lot and you're not really looking and you don't pay attention to what got put in the plane.
Well, a lot of people don't know about my Tuggiver. I call him Tuggiver because you are a pilot, and a lot of people don't know that.
Well,
And
I don't advertise that.
No,
I don't want
know.
the Southwest
But
people calling me when they're shorthanded.
I don't like small planes, so I won't, even with Todd, get in a small plane. I don't like them.
Well, small planes can be dangerous, obviously, but
Yeah.
if you really analyze it, they're far safer than any car you've ever gotten into. You're at far greater risk getting into an automobile by far.
Isn't it interesting how perception makes everything? Like, I don't think about that, so my perception is that I'm safe.
I think
in
it's
a
more
car.
dangerous to ride a bus even than fly in a
Yes.
private plane. I mean, of course, it's also who's flying. So if some random person just says, you want to go flying with me, I will say, ha, no, thank you. I mean, if I don't know
I
something.
go flying with you every time I get in the car.
Well,
And you're driving. And here's
Like you're
me.
trying to
I
explain.
am the worst, most horrible nag in the car because I don't whine and I don't nag ever. But when I get in the car with Todd, this is what I sound like. If you love me the way you say you do, you will slow down and put a car for every 10 miles an hour
she
that
gives
we're
me-
going right
she
now.
gives
I
me
give them the whole,
like
you
as if
love
I've never
me.
heard any of this. Then what did I say the other day? I said,
Something
I
like,
said something like, I'm 65 years old. I've been driving for a good portion of those years that I have managed to never be in an accident.
no, that's true, and I certainly can't say the same thing, so it shut me down really
No,
fast.
I'm not trying to shut you down because it is, you feel what you feel.
I'm
But
a bad passenger. I like to be in control of the wheels. That's just the way I am. I
mean-
don't need to be in control of a lot of things, but I like to be the driver.
I've offered that to you though, and you don't like that either.
No,
I prefer.
I love
would
to
prefer to
drive.
drive you because I do know how distracted you are. You are, without question, of all the people I've ever known, the most distracted driver. Other than Carrie. Carrie has a league of her own.
well, I would have never gotten in a car with Carrie.
No, I used to do. Carrie used to try to drive me, and I would go like this,
Give me the keys.
and I would just wait until she'd come over and go. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I am not allowed, because she just like this is before phones too. It got even worse when cell phones, but she would talk and radio
Oh
adjustments
my
and all
God,
this shit, not look at
I'm a distracted driver. I've driven across the country by myself a couple of times.
No, you are.
let me do
miss
that.
You miss exits frequently.
Oh, I do. I will admit that. But I'm a defensive driver. When I drive, I'm looking at the person in front of me. I look to make sure if I needed to go to another lane really fast, that there's not a car there. I mean, I am a good defensive driver.
Well,
but I do miss
think,
exits.
I think that
Because I'll be
I'm not,
listening to
I'm
something.
not totally comfortable with based on, because that time you came back with the crack in your forehead and the Prius kind of messed up. That was strictly, everybody makes mistakes. It's just you're lucky that wasn't way worse, So
Yeah, I got hit by a truck in a Prius, which is akin to a tuna can when you get hit in one. I love the gas mileage, but
you
oh
did
my
you did
gosh.
come out okay, but
Yeah.
I always wondered why the bags didn't deploy on that.
Not only the brakes went out too. The bags didn't deploy.
No,
and I had to get stitches in my scalp.
I
So
remember.
that was
But my point in bringing that up is I wasn't there to understand what
the
occurred.
bags didn't deploy and the brakes went out, and I just went, and it was horrible because I was moving and I was about to move into like 4 o'clock traffic, and there was nothing I could do. That's the last thing I really remember.
I think what happened, if I'm not mistaken, is you were at an intersection onto, like, I'm going to say Russell. You were coming off of a side street, and there's a gutter there that had water in it, and you applied the brakes, and the car slid a little too far, and you just got clipped on the nose because the car wasn't that badly damaged. But it was bad enough
Not compared to me, yes.
No, well, it was bad enough to slam your
Right.
head, but not even bad enough to deploy the bags on a car that has airbags all around. At any rate, the point of my bringing this up is, you don't know, but I feel like you do get in your own world when you drive and you don't focus so much on that. So I prefer that I'm in charge.
Oh, is that fact? Because guess what? Sometimes when you are trying to scare me with your need for speed, as Tom Cruise says,
Trying to scare you.
I swear you
So
try
it's
to,
premeditated.
You try to do it on purpose.
So it's premeditated.
It's on purpose. I know it.
It's not.
You're just trying to scare me.
It's totally unconscious.
I
and
love
if
when
you
he,
and if you
when
saw
he warns me. He goes, "Hey, you know what? This car goes from 0 to 70 in 3 seconds." And I'm like, I don't need to experience that, but that's very interesting. And then he shows me anyway.
But it came
That
in
is
handy the other night when you
premeditated.
wanted me here to meet your guests, and I had to be here from the other side of town.
All I could say was I was really glad I wasn't in the car for that because you got home at an incredibly fast.
I broke the record from getting from Rainbow in the 215 to here by
Oh
far.
my gosh.
By far.
Well, let's get
But I was
stuff
also
away.
trying to make sure the Prius was, part of to see if it was, in good working condition after it had been repaired. So I had to see what it could
I
do.
have never driven that car since then.
Yeah.
I still have it.
I just got it back.
I've never driven.
Oh,
the
you never
Prius.
drove it before?
No, I haven't driven the Prius since the accident.
Well, how
because-
could you? I just got it back.
No, this was years ago.
Oh, your axe. Oh, the Prius.
Yeah, the
I'm
Prius,
sorry.
yeah.
I was on the Tesla.
Right. No, I have never driven the car since then because it just don't feel safe. I feel better in my Jeep because
Well,
it's got a lot of around me.
mass,
I can see ahead.
I would
like,
just a newer, heavier car is going to do better than a lighter, newer car.
Yeah, because it like an
These
accordion.
are Newton's law of gravity physics at play. It's like there's a lot of basic principles with a big car is always going to fare better than a little car. And, even though it is nice to get 500 miles to the gallon, your Jeep is certainly going to be stronger.
Ferruccio just
Giveaways.
walked in
Oh,
the room, and we're
wait a
going to do
minute.
giveaways.
You know what
I'm
else?
so excited. Okay, so for all those of you who are new in here tonight, we just want you to know that when you enter the room and your name logs, Ryan throws it into something called the randomizer. Because we are running a little long, Ryan threw them into the randomizer, so I have the 8 winners in my hand. All right?
Oh, you already have them.
Yes, he did. He ran
Well,
the
we
randomizer.
can. You know what? We can get quick to it then. We can make short work of this.
Of course, we have to.
We have all the
been on
answers.
for a long time.
No, but I mean, you already
This
have
is
the
from
winners.
the randomizer.
But you already have the winners.
We have the winners. I'm looking at them right now. All of
Okay.
them. So we'll go through this.
So what are you
okay?
giving them? You want to do DVDs?
I'll tell you what you're giving them. Are you ready?
DVDs.
All right. So the first winner, by the way, so you were all put into the randomizer. So the randomizer randomly, which is why they call it the randomizer, it randomly selected the names, and here they are. And what you have won
One at
on
a time,
today's
right?
show. One at a time, of course. If we were going to give away the same thing, well, then I'd be able to read them all. But here we go. Number 1, the first winner. Oh, and before I announce the names, so I don't have to say it over and over, anytime that you win, please write me at info@catcosmetics.com. That's C-A-T, cosmetics.com. So it's info, like information, info@catcosmetics.com, and say that you were here and what you won. And then we will send it out to you. So That is that. I will now read the wieners. Number 1, Cherie Efron. You have won a copy of The Unsinkable Molly Brown. And that is coming to you from our really great sponsor, Time Warner, because they supply us with all of these beautifully remixed remasters. What's that? Oh, look at that. Brenda, you snuck that in there. The Unsinkable Molly Brown is coming to you, Cherie Efron. That's what you have won. Yay! Congratulations.
A Blu-ray.
A Blu-ray.
Newly remastered.
Newly remastered of The Unsinkable Molly Brown.
And it's, you know, it's a CinemaScope movie, and it was beautifully shot, but all of the prints for Molly Brown were printed on Metro color, which had no longevity, and after a period of years, they all turned into maroon crap. So you had no color. So that was a very extensive, expensive restoration done by them.
Well worth it.
And it looks incredible.
Incredible, I agree. Okay, number 2 is Agnes Rennie. Agnes Rennie. And you, Agnes, have won a $25 gift certificate to catcosmetics.com. Agnes, go ahead and write me at info@catcosmetics.com, and I will send you, and give me your email, and we will send you the link. All right. Congratulations, Agnes Rennie. Number 3, Charlotte Robnett. Charlotte Robnett. You have won It Started With a Kiss, one of Debbie's movies, and you have won this.
You think about all the things that start with a kiss.
I can tell you,
more trouble.
In my life, it's been
Wars have started, but beautiful things too. But I mean,
I
you
would
take
say
about.
so.
Let's talk about Napoleon, Josephine, and Desiree. Of course, that all started with a kiss, and the next thing you know, you had the Napoleonic Wars. So other good things can happen too.
Yes. Charlotte Robnett, It Started With a Kiss. Congratulations. Number 4 is Jama Taylor. Jama, I hope you're still here. If you are, go ahead and write me, because you have won a $25 gift certificate to catcosmetics.com, and we will email that to you, so make sure you claim it. And congratulations, Jama. Number 5, Pamela Eggers. Pamela Eggers, you too have won a $25 gift certificate to catcosmetics.com. So, Pamela, go ahead and send me an email and let me know that
Now pause for just 1 second.
Okay.
When I was up in the archives,
Yeah.
I found some snapshots that I took when I was in England. So I'll just share with everybody a picture I took of Carrie and Mark Hamill on the set.
Oh.
And if you notice,
They're just kids.
look at her hair doesn't match. You see how the color of the bun doesn't
Yeah.
actually really match very well?
Yep.
But it's a cheesy little picture that I took, but that's a pretty no one has ever seen that picture.
That's a great picture.
That's a
too.
rare behind the scenes
I
Star
like
Wars
the look
picture.
on his face, and I like hers too, and
It's just cute. Thought I would segue with
very cute. Okay.
Back to your point.
So number 6, we have a first-time wiener. Sorry, Chris, that's what we call people. You're not really a wiener, but if you win something on our show, you are now officially a wiener. Chris, you have won. Let's see what Chris won. Chris Kutnya.
You better give him a movie.
Athena, you have won. Athena.
No, give him a different one.
Okay.
It's a guy, right?
It's a guy.
Athena's kind of a cheesy musical. It's fun.
Okay,
what
well,
else
we'll
you got?
just push
Let
that
me
to the
pick.
side
Give me
then.
all of them. What do you got left?
This is it. That's
You got
what
2
you're
left.
down to. Yes.
That's a good one. I like that
Susan slept here. We have the costume from that in our living room.
We do. And in
Yes.
fact, in that movie,
So, Chris, you have won the DVD from Time Warner of Susan Slept Here, starring Debbie Reynolds and Dick Powell. I like this movie.
yeah, and in that movie, my mother takes an Academy Award, and she cracks open walnuts with it, and it's pretty funny.
Oh, that is funny. Lisa Roshino, you are the next wiener. Lisa Roshino. And you have won a $25 gift certificate to catcosmetics.com. That's my company. So, you know what I just realized, Lisa? We can use that towards your order because I have not invoiced you yet. So, we will use it towards that if that works for you. Lisa, congratulations. And then we have one more. and we're going to have to find something to give. You know what I'm going to do? Samantha Popson, and Lisa too. If you're here, make sure you claim your prize by writing me at. You can write me at info@catcosmetics.com. That would be great. And so Samantha Popson, let me see here. Samantha, you too have won a $25 gift certificate to catcosmetics.com. All right? So congratulations to all of our wieners, and thank you so much for spending this Sunday afternoon with us so we could honor Carrie on her special day. Now, here's a mind-blowing thought. She would be 66. We're the same age, Carrie and I. We're only some months apart, you know, and then, but it's just hard to, I know I'm 66, I'm well aware of that. I don't think about age for myself or anybody else, so it doesn't bother me at all, aging, but when I think about Carrie being 66, it's just like, wow. It just also brings home the fact that 6 years have gone by in a
there's
flash.
that, but I think we've all earned those years. I wouldn't go back.
Oh no, you couldn't make me go back to my childhood. And then the second thing is my 20s. Lots of great things happened to me, but I always thought that life would really truly begin for me at 50. And it did. I was right. I always knew there was just something about life that was not going to really kick in till I was 50. And I'm so happy because it did. 50 was like my magic turning number where I thought, I'm at peace, I'm happy within myself, I feel so good and good things are happening. And remember tomorrow morning, ladies and gentlemen, when you wake up tomorrow morning, what are you going to say before you look at your phone or check your messages or open that computer?
At least think it strong.
No, you got to say it and strong. You got to mean it and strong, and it's this. Something really good is going to happen to me today. Really good. I want you to feel like that because that's how you'll wake up tomorrow. And remember, you'll think of me when you do it, which will be nice too. Thank you so much, everybody. We're going to play the opening to the show right now because we didn't have sound on for most of it.
Which was Carrie's memorial video.
Carrie's memorial. So we'll go ahead and play that so you can all say goodbye to each other as you like to do at the end of the show. How about that? So, Todd, would you like to say anything before we go?
I would just say that we made this film for Carrie's during the memorial, and it was constructed of both home movies and film clips. John Williams himself gave permission to use the music for it. So if Facebook is thinking to shut it off, think again. And in the beginning, you'll see these little footprints. Those are actually Carrie's real footprints from when she was a baby. And you will see her actual birth certificate on the screen. And then you will see the name of Carrie's name on the birth certificate change to Leah Argana. And so there were a lot of little subtle things in here. I don't know if I've ever explained any of that before.
No, I don't think you have.
So there's things going on in here if you look at it carefully. And it's also nice to know how many people were okay with us using this footage and these clips and the music. And it was in tribute, to her.
Yep.
Our princess.
Did we ever show Danny Aykroyd's, did we ever show his speech to her at her memorial?
I showed the one where he said, what would happen if he and Carrie would have had a child, what it would have been like.
I just think it would be nice one day to show that because it's
a great tribute.
Well, first of all, I think he's fantastic. I mean, he's one of the nicest people I've ever met in this business. Very, very accessible to people, which I love. And he's like that when he's out playing, doing his band stuff. I've talked to people that have met him afterwards, and he's just a really great guy.
Yep.
I talked to him at length before the memorial started. I was down at the front of the theater, and he engaged me in conversation, and we talked for like 15 or 20 minutes, and he was so present, listening to every word I said.
Yep.
And that's rare for a star of that magnitude to care about what somebody else has to say. They just aren't wired like that.
But
most
he's
people.
he's a man's man too.
Yeah.
He used to come over to my house. We'd smoke a joint, go motorcycle riding together. We'd talk about cars. We'd talk about equipment. He loved my recording truck. He loved great sound. He was really turned on by technical things. Although he wasn't super technical, he just really appreciated technical stuff. He loved great musicians and great. He still does. He's still around, obviously.
Yeah.
But he loved Carrie. It was truly the love of his life.
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
there was no doubt.
And it's a shame, that. But what do we know when we're that young? And she didn't really see it, and she was, swooed by the talent of Paul Simon and his cerebral qualifications. However, I don't think Danny's any small change, but Danny is like a hybrid. He's like me on a personality level.
Yeah.
Yet he's got the intellect and the writing skills of a Paul Simon. Not that he writes music.
I think you are highly intelligent. Honest to God, I'm not kidding. I'm not just saying that because I love you and you are
you're
my
biased.
mate. But I'm saying that, you really are. Your knowledge floors me. Even after all these years, I just cannot believe you can fit into all that can fit into your head.
Well,
I
better
think
than
that all the
anybody.
time.
You know better than anybody about how
I'm
that all
around you
works.
more than anybody, I think. So I'm qualified to really say that, and I mean it.
I think we all have this
You're smart.
capacity to remember things that we want to remember, and that's very much my MO. If I don't,
it's
if it doesn't interest me,
so you can't learn things if it's not interesting.
Yeah, I
to
had
you.
a problem. It's funny. I was just earlier digging around for some pictures tonight, and I found one of my report cards. And, I pretty much had straight C's.
all the way.
Yeah, I was like a genius.
I find sometimes that kids that are smart don't get the grades that reflect that because I think sometimes they're bored.
No, I wasn't smart about any of it, and it was very boring. I used to get good grades when I would get into a class that might be interesting. Then you'll see good grades if it interests me. But really, the way that the school system was laid out then, and worse today, certain things you have to learn, right? And then there's a point where you then have to keep someone's interest up to make it fun and interesting, and then you'll want to learn it. We don't really do that very well anymore. And I was horrible at not fitting in the box. I've never fit in the box. I always have never fit in the box.
Do you know if I was in charge of school, can you imagine? If I was in charge
I think you could do a better job in some of them, that's
for
for
sure.
sure.
I feel terribly sorry for the kids today. Horrible. But I will say this. I think that it would be beneficial to have Life 101, Love 101, Keeping a House 101.
Wouldn't that be better than learning about gender or identity?
I think that English, math, history, that's all really important. But I would get away from all the nonsense that we don't use and teach people how to balance a checkbook. Kids aren't taught life skills. And love skills.
We
and
were certainly
relationship
taught that
skills.
stuff when I was growing up. I mean, remember we had shop even, and girls had home economics.
But home
economics.
I failed
economics.
home ec.
Ec.
I
Wait a minute,
did.
it's not economics. Is it home economics?
I could not iron.
Was it called economics?
Economics, yeah. We never talked about economics. It was
Right.
about sewing. I'm terrible at sewing. Cooking. Back then, I was terrible at it, but I love to cook today. Cleaning, not my strong suit, but I know how to do it.
They taught you how to clean?
Well, we would talk about the importance of a nice home for your husband to come home to back
Yeah,
then.
but see, the problem with all this is, again, it's that boxy kind of stuff. All the girls are going to have to fit in the box and be over here. That's the problem with the whole thing. And that was a mistake, obviously, to assume that that a woman was only going to be barefoot in the kitchen. And so that was a mistake.
Well, here's the thing. I don't even mind that concept. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a big... Look, I'm so easygoing, I think, for the most part. I'm a live and let live girl, right? But when I was in home ec, I was in the drama department too, because my plan was I was going to get out of school and go to LA and study with the best acting teacher and get on with it. That was my thing. And so when I couldn't iron and couldn't sew, those are the two things I failed in home ec. And And so my teacher said to me, look at this. It's terrible. You can't even sew a straight line. You can't iron anything. You can't cook. You have no skills in these areas. And I said, I know, I'm so sorry. I mean, I really was. It just wasn't interesting to me. And like we're talking, if it's not interesting, kids aren't going to learn it. You just can't make somebody be interested.
But part of it has to do with why. I think part of the reason why I'm interested in the things that I'm interested in has to do with the people that I was around that I really respected and admired. Like my grandfather was never a techie, but he was a very, he's a great carpenter, mechanic guy, and could restore cars, could rebuild an air conditioning system, could fix a pool motor. He could build beautiful cabinetry, do great woodwork. And I loved watching him work, and it interested me to see the quality of that. And not that I ever wanted to be a carpenter per se, but I loved the art of all that and the tools. And he really took care of his tools and organized his shop and kept all of his different types of hardware beautifully organized. That interested me. So that's yesterday's technology in many ways. But it was important for me to learn that. And it's partly what makes me good at being able to fix pretty much anything I want to fix.
Yeah.
And then you move over to the technical end of audio visual areas, and it's an extension of that because of the entertainment business that I was brought up in. I had an interest in how all that fit into that. So you see a lot of it is a product of the people around me that inspired me, like meeting these great cameramen, and directors and technical arts people, and watching them and wanting to know. I never wanted to learn how to sew. I've owned great equipment, but it's not my area.
I felt bad that I was going to fail home ec. That was really embarrassing. But here's the thing.
Fail?
Yes, I failed.
Failed.
I could not iron. I could not sew. The cooking was just, And so she said, whatever are you going to do when you grow up and get married, and you won't be able to take care of your husband? You won't be able to sew. You can't cook. You can't iron. And with all honesty and earnest, I looked at her and I said something that I meant with all my heart. I wasn't being a smart ass or anything. And I said, oh, but don't worry about me. It's okay. You don't have to worry about me, because when I grow up, I'm going to be really well known, and I'm going to make enough money that I can hire people to do those things for me. And she sent me to the principal's office.
For being insubordinate.
For being insubordinate. And I was being completely and totally genuine.
Now, I had a similar experience with my English teacher, who said to me, I don't know why, it's not that bad, but we were learning Greek mythology. Oh. And they were making us write out stuff from the Iliad and the Odyssey and all of this. And I don't like fantasy stuff. I never have. I never liked that type of entertainment. So that's all it was to me. So I just didn't want to know about it. I didn't want to memorize it, for crying out loud. And I had to write it out. And she laid that rap on me. She says, you have got to learn how to be able to write this stuff and to be able to spell these words, because I'd refused to spell any of the characters' names correctly.
Yeah.
I didn't want anything to do with the grammar, any of it. I just rejected it all as a disaster. She could tell I was just being, not into it. And she said, you have to learn how to do this. I mean, what are you going to do in life? I said, if I need to write something like this, I will hire a writer, or I have a secretary who will do this for me.
And you meant it. You meant it.
No, I was dead straight. By the way,
I know.
in my case, I did not get sent to the principal because she knew that I came from a rich family, and it was probably true.
No,
and
I got sent to the principal's office.
Right, but you got there because she's thinking you're dreaming, you're not going to do this is a fantasy. But in my case, though, I remember the lady pausing and thinking she was going to say something back, and then she just shut up.
Yeah.
But her name was Mrs. Caskey.
Isn't that funny? Hey, you know what? I'm going to do one quick exercise with everybody before we go, because I want to see how many of you get it. All right, so when you were in high school, we all had that one kid who was just wore his pants too high, the belt too tight, kind of the class geek, the nerdy one that you just never will forget. And even to this day, I remember who that was in my high school. Do you remember, Brenda, in your high school who that was? Okay. Do you remember, Todd, this person?
No.
Okay. Do you guys remember that? Because I swear, they probably, every one of those blessed people that I'm talking about right now grew up to do something huge and important in this world, because they got straight A's, they were loners, they wore the pants too high, they wore the belt too tight, and they were just total bookworms. And everybody made fun of them. I got made fun of.
Well, I could tell you who
I remember
who didn't
this
fit.
so well.
He didn't wear his pants too and all that, but he was a small built guy.
Yep.
Everybody picked on him. I used to have to defend him.
Yep.
Happened to be my next door neighbor. And he was a little kid, and he was always getting pushed around. His name was Danny Sakheim.
And he's one of the biggest directors. He's one of the directors of Game of Thrones. I know that name. He directs some of the best television out there. You see the people that were like that in high school, they are the doers of the world.
Now listen to this.
They are.
When he was a year younger than me, I believe, or something like that. And we used to bring him over to our house to be in our home movies, and I'd let him operate camera. And he was never on camera. He was always behind the scenes. But he used to come over, and he told me when I talked to him years later how all of that had driven him towards being in the business. So the nerd that you're talking about, the little guy that used to get beat up, turned out to be a highly successful director.
But you see, it's because people in high school that are really popular, of which I was not one of those people, but people in high school that were really popular, I think life is a shock to them, because they're a big fish in a small pond, and then they go out into the world and they're a small fish in a gigantic pond, and it's very hard to cope, So whereas people that were like, everyone's saying the names of the people, they're remembering it.
Yeah.
Mine, I remember, I can see him right now in front of me, but I don't want to say his name just in case. You never know if he's watching. But I'm sure that he went out to do great things in the world. When I went to my high school reunion, I remember thinking, look at that. The people that were loners and really just the brainiacs and just minded their business and did their work, they were the most well-adjusted people at years and years later. So it's.
But how come we're not taking all of this information that we've been talking about for the last hour, and transforming our education system? How is it that we haven't learned a damn thing in all of these years? We're going backwards in education. Why aren't we able to take all this information that we've all lived through, that our parents even lived through? And we can't even get the reading and writing done anymore. We can't even teach that. People are leaving
hopefully
school.
all that will be changed.
Well, I don't know. I don't actually.
It has to, because we can't turn out all these kids without a proper education.
Right, but this is an example, though, of where people that are specialized in this need our support to get them elected, to get them put in these places, and then to support these policies that in some ways get back to the basics or back to the origins of education, but at the same time, embrace the creativity and all the great things of today and make it interesting. I can name every teacher that interested me in my entire life in being in school. I remember them all, and I don't remember many of the ones that were boring and didn't do a good job in conveying things to me. There were science teachers and history teachers that I had that were great at making it fun and interesting. That's on getting the right teachers, but also the school boards are restricting what teachers can say and do and all that, and they're embracing these bizarre agendas, and trying to being contemporarily thinking, and all they're doing is ruining the education process. I mean, you got to start with the basics, for sure. But while that's all going on, you can't just have that. I mean, what made me even care about school at all was a few of the fun things. So you got to toss in the fun things. You had drama. That's like, if we don't have the arts in school, I mean, please.
And a lot of schools don't.
Right, they're killing the music departments, the arts departments. That's death.
Yeah, I know.
To creativity. That's what made this country great. We're the only country, you compare us to China, we have a culture in this country of free thinking and expression and dreaming. You're allowed to do all of that. And anything that changes or restricts that is death to the country. China does not allow its people to think or dream or do any of that because they have to live within this little box. They're going to be whatever they are and fit into the system because you're in a communist country where you're not allowed to become a Bill Gates or a Paul Allen or whatever. You cannot excel. You cannot come out of the box.
I loved Paul Allen.
He was a sweetheart.
He was a sweetheart.
But he was a guy, again.
You'd never imagine in a million years, that he...
Well, he was the nerd you're talking about.
Exactly. But his, there was no arrogance. There was no... You look at Bill Gates, ugh. I mean, he's so... Ugh.
I don't know what happened to him. I never knew him, though, so I can't judge that.
But when I watch that, I just think how they were partners and they couldn't be any more different.
Yeah, but you saw what happened in the end. They were too different to even be friendly.
I was well aware of that. But still, I mean, it's just amazing because you have two people that were on the same goal and created Microsoft and like all this and they couldn't be more different and
But the thinking that created all of that, the process to get people to where those things are possible is what the education system has to be. And why the Chinese are always copying our stuff and why they can't have intellectual property is because they can't create anything because they have no free thinking.
I never thought about that. That's really a good
I never
point.
worry about the Chinese outperforming us, ever. I don't care how well they learn to count or spell or read or do any of this. Even in science, they can excel because you're within a very set bunch of rules and boundaries. But when it comes to creativity, there is none. They just rehash everything that we do.
Yeah.
So I love that about this country and the ability for us. My mother was a genius at making sure that we had an environment of freedom and free thinking and creativity and did absolutely everything she could to fertilize that thinking and those expressions into every moment that she would see us wanting to go somewhere in that area. She would support it.
Yeah.
Not just financially, whatever it was, with people, with other things to inspire us. That is what schools should be, is a thing that inspires.
Oh my gosh, there you have it. It should be where kids are inspired. I love that. That is so true. Okay, well, we've been on the air for 2 hours.
6.5 hours later.
No, 2 hours. So we're going to let
As
everybody go.
the sun sinks slowly in
My
the
chickens
west.
have to be put away. Brenda, you're going to help. I'd like to thank Ryan Clements and Brenda
All the people that
McFamily
sat here.
and Melanie, her daughter, who is here at the cameras. And I would just like to really thank you all also for showing up today and having fun with us. How great is that?
Listening to my husband rant and rave.
My husband rants and raves, but it's always interesting. At least I think so. I think you do too. So thank you, everybody. And we will see you. I will see you this week for sure. And so good to be here. I missed everybody on our couple of weeks away. So we'll play this video for you one more time if you missed it in the beginning. This time with sound. Always a good thing. Good night, guys. Have a great evening and a fantastic week. And remember, something really good is going to happen to you.
short for a stormtrooper?
Huh? What the hell are you doing?
Somebody has to save our skins.
You're trembling.
I'm not trembling.
Let's get one thing straight. I take orders from just one person, me.
So one day you're still alive. Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
No reward is worth this.
Who are you?
Someone who loves you.
Leia.
Cut it out! I love you.
I know.
May the force be with you.